Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be doing a comparison between a 2022 Ram 1500 Limited and a 2022 Ford F-150 Platinum. Now the reason I'm not doing a comparison against the Ford F-150 Limited is a couple reasons. So first off, I don't have a review yet on a 2022 Ford F-150 Limited, and then the second reason is the Platinum is actually closer in price to the Ram 1500 Limited than the F-150 Limited is. The F-150 Limited is more expensive than both of them, and the Platinum is actually a much more popular model, similar to the Ram 1500 Limited. And so I think there's more people comparing Platinum to Limited rather than Limited to Limited, if that makes sense. But anyways, before we get into the video, I do want to mention that my car buying course is available. So if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to that in the description down below. It's extremely affordable, definitely worth it. Let's get into the comparison. Starting things under the hood of the F-150, we've got the PowerBoost with this one. So it's the twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6, goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission paired to a hybrid system. Good for 430 horsepower, 570 pound-feet of torque. Average fuel economy rating is about 23 miles per gallon combined. Pretty crazy powertrain in a truck. Now, popping from the Ford to the Ram, this particular one has EcoDiesel, but I want to get the specs on the Hemi because that's more comparable to the PowerBoost. So the Hemi e-torque has 395 horsepower, 410 pound-feet of torque, another 130 pound-feet off the line because of the e-torque system. Your average fuel economy is going to be about 19 miles per gallon. And so, yeah, those are the powertrains. Like I said, this one has EcoDiesel, but it is what it is. Popping to the front end of the Platinum now, you guys can see here with the hood, you've got Ford's new distinctive hood, so it kind of like goes up and down and up and down, and it's definitely unique from an aesthetic perspective, but I think it looks really good. We've got the LED accent lights, and you can see you've got the projector bulbs there in the center, and then notice here at the Platinum how you've got a brushed finish on a lot of the chrome. You do have some high gloss chrome though, like in the center right there, you guys can see I'm pointing at right now. So it's kind of like a mix between the two, and then you can see that you've got a pretty interesting pattern there in the front grille overall, and you can probably see right below the Ford logo there's a little camera, body painted bumpers, and overall it's definitely a good looking truck from a front end perspective and looks a lot cleaner than the Lariat. Now, popping back over to the Ram Limited, this one has the Night Edition package on it. So that gives it the sport hood, and then you guys can see you've got the 1500 EcoDiesel badge there, and then diesel is in red, which is a pretty cool touch. And then notice the venting there on the hood, and we've got the blacked out lights. They are LEDs with the projector bulb. So notice from a lighting perspective, we're pretty much equal with both of the trucks. Notice the whole front grille is all blacked out. You've got the body painted bumper that comes with the Night Edition. You've got parking sensors there on the front end, tow hooks, fog lights, all the same stuff that the Platinum has. This just has a sportier look, still have a front camera. So you've got like the sportier appearance here with the Ram, whereas over on the Platinum side of things, it has more of like a traditional luxury truck appearance, having the chrome and then kind of like the brushed metallic trim to accent all of that. But I think both of them look good in their own right. Now, popping back over to the Ford, you guys can see the tire and wheel setup here. This is going to be a little bit harsh on the Platinum. So wheels are big enough from a size perspective, but I think that the design isn't super intricate. You can see here with the front suspension, you can see a little bit of the hybrid components there, actually. And then notice we have no fender flares. It's just kind of like molded there. We have our F-150 Platinum badge there on the side. And then notice we got the PowerBoost badge down below. And then we've got the chrome mirrors, door handles, all that. And this one has the FX4 package, which is like their off-road package. But again, the wheels just look a little bit base, in my personal opinion, for the truck being a higher-end package. And then you guys can see the shock there on the rear with the leaf spring suspension that you've got on the F-150. Now, popping over here to the Ram, you guys can see the design on these wheels. I feel like it's just a little bit more intricate. Coloration looks great with this particular package. It's darker to match the truck. But I think they just did a great job with that. This one does have the 22s, they're optional. And then the Ram's got the air suspension. You can see that canister there on the frame. And again, I guess going back to the wheels for a second, I think that this is the route to go with trucks like this. Intricate and then cool colors. But anyways, you can see the canister there, again, for the air suspension. Air suspension is standard on the Limited. We've got fender flares as well. And then you'll notice that all the badges are darkened here on the truck. They just basically make everything blacked out so that it matches the theme of this particular package. There's kind of your full side view. And then popping in the rear, again, you've got it's 4-corner air suspension, so you've got the wheelhouse liner, and then you've got another canister there in the rear. Now, with the Ford key fob here, you guys can see all the functions, including the tailgate drop-down and the remote start. Now, the F-150 does have a slightly higher payload capacity compared to the Ram, so you do have that going for the F-150. Notice the LED bed lights, and then you've got all the plugins because it is a PowerBoost, so you can basically charge a million things in the truck, which is great. That's a big benefit of the PowerBoost powertrain. No bed liner. You can get that as an option from the factory, but it's like $600 or something like that. And then the tailgate does automatically go up. That's another cool feature that the Ford has that, kind of makes it feel a little bit more luxurious. And then finishing things up, you guys can see the giant platinum logo there on the back, so everyone knows you got the bad boy Ford. And then you can see with the LED tail lamps, and then again, body painted bumpers with the parking sensors. And then in terms of the towing capacity, you're over 10,000 pounds. That's all that matters for a half-ton truck once you hit over 10,000 pounds. Anyways, with the Ram key fob, most functionality is the same. The only extra option you get is the air suspension function to raise and lower the truck, because again, the Ford doesn't have air suspension, but the Ram does. Now you also notice here with the bed, this one does have the bed liner. That's standard on Limiteds actually, which is a big plus with that package. LED lights, but also we don't have a bunch of outlets in the bed, so you do lose some practicality with the Ram from a light perspective, I suppose. This one does have a tonneau cover. It's a soft trifold. Tailgate, you have to raise it up yourself. I guess that's another downside because you don't get that luxury feature too. Something I personally don't care about, but I know some people do as buyers. Notice we've got the LED tail lamps with the darker portion there in the center. And then again, all the badges here on the back and the logos are all blacked out. Exhaust tips here at the bottom. Like I said, lower payload capacity. Towing capacity between the trucks is very similar though. So I guess you can haul more with the Ford, but you can tow about the same amount with both the trucks. Again, if this had the Hemi, not the EcoDiesel. The EcoDiesel is not a tow engine. Popping back over to the Platinum, you can see here with the door panel in the rear, really nice from a material standpoint. I love how they have got the Alcantara inserts there, and then the leather and the stitching looks fantastic, feels fantastic. Ford's done a really good job with the design, and then also the wood trim inserts. Bang & Olufsen sound system, I can attest. It's a really good sound system, and I love the look of the seats from a design standpoint. Just the, it's not a lot of color they've added to the seats, mostly black, but just a little bit of color helps out. Heated seats there, got all the charging ports in the back, and then you can see the under seat storage as well. And legroom back there is great. It's all pickup trucks nowadays have super spacious back seats. Popping over to the Ram, still really nice from a material standpoint, but notice that they've gone kind of more monotone for the colors. You do have some white contrast to the black, but at the same time, again, it's just kind of darker with the theme, but it also makes sense with this particular package because, again, it's a blacked out package. Harman Kardon sound system, again, really solid sound system. Same thing with the seats. Again, they look really nice and they're very comfortable, but they just don't seem as like eye-catching to me. And then you guys can see you've got the ice buckets with the limited floor mats. This one does have reclining seats too. Heated, cooled seats in the back with all the charging ports. So the Ford does not have cooled seats. So that's another benefit to the Ram is the fact that it's got the cooled seats. That's a huge thing if you ask me personally. And again, space back there, fantastic, just like the Ford. Popping back to the front area of the Ford, you can see here at the door panel just as nice as what you have in the rear from a material standpoint. And you guys can see again with the wood trim. And then also the mirrors do have blind spot monitoring. You've got all of your window controls down below, 3 functions for the memory seats, speaker for the Bang & Olufsen sound system, and then again with the front seat, you can see it has the speaker on the headrest, and then this one does have the full recline seat. That's why it's got the weird funny thing there in the back of the seat. And the Ford seats, I will say, are softer than the Rams in terms of like how it feels cushion-wise. Got the Platinum logo. You can see you got pedal adjustment, parking brake, all your light controls, mirror lights, tailgate drop-down, steering wheel adjustments that is power. And so, yeah, definitely great looking interior. And then popping back over to the Ram, you can see again, darker in terms of the coloration and just as nice as the rear, but all leather. You don't have any like Alcantara or anything. And look at the kind of like finish with that. I think that looks really cool. And then all of your window controls, you got memory seats, 2 settings, not 3. And then you can see the mirrors, again, blind spot monitoring, just like the Ford, and then speaker for the Harman Kardon sound system. And you can see the front seats here with the full leather. Bolstering's a little bit more open. You can see the power adjustments there on the side. And then the pedal layout with the limited floor mat. And then you've got your pedal adjustment, parking brake, light controls. The steering wheel is manually adjustable, so that is a thing against the Ram compared to the Ford. Now, popping back to the Ford, you can see the startup animation here. Always a cool little thing with the digital dash. But anyways, you can see with the steering wheel, really nice material use with the leather. Again, got the platinum logo right there. And you can see here off to the side controls for the center stack. And then we've got our cruise control on the other side with our volume and voice command controls. Turn signal, windshield wiper stock. Got the Ford logo there in the center, which kind of has a different finish to it. I like it. It kind of feels like old school. I wouldn't say like retro. I would say more like vintage. That's the right word. You can see digital gauge cluster. You can see different things like fuel economy, for example. Some people hate the digital gauge cluster. I personally like it. Definitely makes the truck feel more on the techie side of things. Some people might not like that. Again, like I said, I'm completely okay with it. Like, it doesn't bother me whatsoever for it to have a fully digital gauge cluster. And then you can see with the different drive modes with the Platinum, main thing, right, is going to be like your sport and your towing and your eco, normal. The off-road modes are probably never going to be used with the Platinum. It's cool that it has them, but again, I doubt anyone buying a Platinum is going to take it off-road. People that buy Raptors don't take them off-road. You've got the controls there for the power at the top, and then you've got like your camera, your parking assist, the hazard light, stability control, and then the hill descent control as well. Now, with the infotainment system, you guys have heard me talk about Ford's infotainment system, Rand's infotainment system a bunch of times. So here's what I have to say. From a camera system perspective, the Ford is amazing. Resolution is fantastic, and I love how it fills up the whole screen with the camera, so you really see what's happening from a camera perspective. A bunch of different viewpoints, and so I think that Ford's nailed it in terms of the camera setup. Now, as for the rest of the infotainment system, being horizontal in the truck, I think is great. You guys can see the power output with the Pro Power on board. So I think it looks really nice. Response time's great. It's got a split screen function, which is pretty straightforward, and so usability on the truck, or on the infotainment system rather, sorry, not in the truck, is really solid. And so I'm a huge fan. I definitely think that Ford did a really good job. The only thing I'm disappointed with is the fact that Ford isn't throwing this in other vehicles. Like, they're doing their horizontal infotainment system in most of their vehicles, and this is only in the trucks. So I think it's weird. Anyways, trailer brake controls, you got the drive mode select with the drive line select. This does have Ford's upgraded drive line select, so it has the 4-wheel auto as well as the 4-wheel high. And then you can see here with the climate controls, you do have dual zone climate controls. You've got heated, cooled seats for the front. And then notice the climate controls are a little bit different than 2021. They did change those for 22. Wireless phone charger, and you can see the wood trim that covers it again. Looks really cool. Kind of interesting how they've got the different patterns on it. Notice how it does that with the trim. Anyways, you got the shifter that does fold down. That's another cool thing about the Platinum. Well, new F-150, I should say. Got the Platinum logo, and again, I think that just looks so beautiful from a design standpoint. Good storage space. This one does have the workbench center console, so solid. And then you got the dual glove box, so from a storage space perspective, super practical. And again, just look how nice that trim is there on the outside, and then the padding on the dash. Again, another nice feature of the truck. You can see power sliding window, and then this one does have a full panoramic sunroof, so it adds to the luxury feel. Now you can see the window sticker here. Sorry if the glare is kind of in the way a little bit, but freeze frame if you want to read all the options on this particular truck. It'll be interesting to see the price difference, because I forgot to even check. But yeah, $78,000. Wow, pretty expensive. But yeah, that is the Platinum. Popping back over to the Ram now to go over the interior. You guys can see animation, definitely solid with the startup. Now, with the steering wheel, I love the leather trim. I love how they have the wood trim at the top. This steering wheel definitely does have this special feel to it, and material use is great. So you've got all your controls like cruise control, gear limiter, all that normal stuff. Radio controls are on the back. You got controls for the center stack as well. And then you guys can see the stitching there in the center. And then notice you've got the turn signal windshield wiper stock. And then popping here to the gauge cluster, use those of you that are more old school are going to like this more, because it has analog gauges on either side and then the screen in the center. Definitely has its charm, right? It has this more luxury, again, I wouldn't say truly old school, but again, just kind of has more of a luxury feel to it rather than a techie feel like you have with the Ford infotainment system. You can see the 12 volt there at the top, and then the wood trim. And then notice the Harman Kardon sensors, but look at the dash. There's way more leather on the interior of the Ram than there is in the Ford. Ford, you'll have big gaps, whereas with the Ram, they've got the leather all over the dash, so that is a big benefit with the Ram. And then you've got the 12-inch display. I think it's nicely integrated into the dash. Again, like I said, I do prefer horizontal, but the vertical screen works great. You've got analog controls down below for like the parking sensors, the air suspension, stability control, tow haul, all that fun stuff. From a camera perspective, resolution's just as good, but again, the camera system doesn't take up the whole screen like it does in the Ford. So that is a slight downside for the Ram, is that they basically only did the backup camera as part of the screen. You guys can see you can add auxiliary cameras just like with the Ford. As for the rest of the infotainment system, response time, fantastic, super easy to use. You've got dual zone climate, have heated cooled seats for the front, heated steering wheel, all that fun stuff. So it's pretty similar to the Fords. Do have split screen function. You guys saw that with the backup camera. So they're super similar. It's just vertical versus horizontal pretty much. And they've got the dial shifter for the 8-speed automatic transmission. Got, again, driveline select that's just like the Fords. You have 4-wheel auto as well as 4-wheel high with it. And you can see the material use there, the dial shifter, definitely nicer on the Limited. Extra storage space. You got a couple of USBs there with the wireless phone charger. And then notice with the Limited center console setup, definitely looks nice from a material standpoint. And then you can see here it slides backwards and forwards, has the nice wood trim on it. And I will give this to the Ram is just there's more nice materials around the truck. So both the trucks have equal in terms of like the materials from like how good they look, but the Ram just has more of it in the interior. You guys can see the glove box setup, and again, kind of emphasizing there. Also, camera mirror. Ford doesn't offer that whatsoever. Panoramic sunroof. The snow comes free. Power sliding window there at the top. And then you guys can see the window sticker here. So we're actually pretty similar from a pricing perspective. Again, this one has EcoDiesel. If this one had the Hemi, it would be less expensive, but they both still be pretty close in price. Again, that's why I compared these trucks. So just to quickly cap things off with our comparison, here's my personal feeling. So the Ford is quicker with the PowerBoost compared to the Ram from an acceleration perspective. Like I said, they're pretty similar from a towing perspective. The Ford being turbocharged does seem to go through gas a little bit quicker when you're towing, when it's under load, because you're just constantly in those turbos, whereas the Ram having the naturally aspirated V8 does a little bit better from that perspective. The Ford does have a higher payload capacity because of the aluminum body construction, so that does help out from that perspective. And then from a driving perspective, the Ram does stay more planted because of the 5-link coil suspension compared to the leaf springs that you have in the Ford. They're both just as smooth as each other, but when you go over bumps, the Ram stays planted, whereas the Ford kind of does the bounce in the back end just a little bit. And then from a material standpoint, like I said, I think they both have top-notch materials. The Ram uses a little bit more of it. The Ford has a little bit of a techier feel, especially with a digital gauge cluster. And the seats in the Ford are a little bit more comfortable than the seats in the Ram. And then the Ford has that camera mirror, the Ram has a camera mirror, whereas the Ford does not. And so there are benefits and downsides to both of the trucks. They're both great luxury trucks. If you have a chance to get in both of them, I would definitely recommend it. But it just depends on what you want. If you want speed and power and better fuel economy, Ford on a daily driver basis. And if you want a big V8 and you want old school luxury, right, that's what the Ram is going to give you. Let me know what you guys think and which one you'd pick.